and thanks for staying with us. Customs intercept drugs at the airport. Also on Customs reports, the ACG in charge of Zone A speaks on third-party clearance at the ports in the Western Zone. Plus, more report. I am Egeseme Itinye. Stay tuned. The Assistant Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service in charge of Zone A has said that the customs will continue to promote and monitor the implementation of port policies in the country. The customs boss also said that the issue of third-party clearance of containers is in line with government policies. She speaks more.
The headquarters had issued circulars on this prior to this period, and all headquarters said whenever such containers are observed in the ports, proper examination should be done. 100% physical examination should be done on those containers. We already have existing dispute resolution committees in all the ports. It is their function, it is their duty to do this examination and then give proper assessment of such goods, make proper inspection acts, and the CAC must vet it. The customs area controller must vet their final work, and those containers are released to the owners. So the issue of 3 months grace is not there. There's no need for that. We have to ask ourselves, why do we even need to have task force? It's because of the low level of compliance among our traders. And we don't have up to 10 anyway. We don't have up to 10. We have always said this. CGC had been hammering on this. The level of compliance among our traders on these containers that come in is very, very low. If there is high compliance, there won't be need for these checks and balances. That's why they are there in the first place, but they are not up to 10. They are just 2, including federal operation. And it might interest you to know that federal operation, according to the dictates of ease of doing business, mount their checkpoints 40 kilometers away from the main ports, away from the ports. And at times they act on information. The other agencies like the CGC Strike Force, the Custom Police, they have offices. They act on information, and that's how they strike. They are not there in the ports causing any obstruction. If any officer is doing what they are not supposed to be doing, then we should know whom they are, and we'll use them as example for others. But we don't think this is true. If it is true, if it's happening, let us have the names, and you see how the CGC will treat such officers. The CGC believes in giving rewards to officers that have performed outstandingly in any schedule of work they were assigned to do. And he also believes in correcting. If there are officers that are not conforming to the dictates of the service, then they will be sanctioned for others to take necessary corrections from that.
Agent operating at the nation's seaport in the Western Zone has called on the government to fine-tune policies on clearance of goods at the port. The stakeholders also urged the federal government to continue to monitor policies of clearance of goods and consignment in the zone. They also complained of the third-party scheme, which the custom is against.
They are not in for business in Nigeria. They are defrauding our country. In a situation whereby, why I would say they are defrauding our country, how can a cargo being battered 1st of January from Tor, they have started collecting demurrage. And I believe that these boxes from their country is on lease. If they want to help the federal government, they should remove anything called demurrage, because in their company, they don't have what they call holding bay. They don't have a holding bay. They will tell you their holding bay is a Tinkan or a Papa, which is not acceptable in our country because of the nature of the road. As far as I'm concerned, The shipping company are sabotaging our economy. The shipping company are defrauding our country. The shipping company are sabotaging Mr. President's efforts. All the whole containers littered on the road are foreigners. They will station for containers to be returned on Tinkan or Apapa, which you know the network of the road, how network of the road Apapa is. Offices there, all the whole offices there are empty. I believe everybody that have property in Apapa, they are not making money because nobody will come to Apapa and stay for 5 or 6 hours. People who are causing it is shipping company.
The system is collapsing, and that's why we take it timely to call for this conference to enable things go well accordingly in the interest and each and every one of this country citizen.
The stakeholders here talk so much about the management of the system in the Nigerian Customs Service.
Well, they're like our master, yes, but master can never know it all. They need people on the ground to give them information they need to work with, to enable them get it right. They need the professionals to talk to them. We can advise them. I can advise my father, so for that reason, I can advise the CG himself. I can advise any of their management team.
The Nigerian Customs also reacted to the call, saying that agents should comply with rules and regulation of government.
The third-party involvement simply means that we have noticed for some time now that the documentations which an importer through his agents usually present to customs when he's clearing his goods has alterations. For instance, when an importer wants to make an import, you know the first step is to open a Form M. The Form M, assuming the importer is bringing in this biro, that Form M is going to have description as biro, and then the final invoice, biro as description. Then by the time the goods will be coming in, the manifest should also have biro as a description of goods.
They urge importers to always present genuine papers for the clearance of goods at the port.
We are not introducing any new system. We are just pointing out that the procedure for import should be followed. The revised import guideline is there. All we are saying is that we want the traders to step up their level of compliance. When you are bringing in this biro, for instance, call it biro. And then by the time the container is here and custom is doing physical examination, if needs be, let custom find that biro you have declared in the container. And not you have declared biro and then you will see electronics. That is what custom is saying, no, it should stop. Let there be a high level of compliance, because when there is compliance, nobody will talk about delays. It is all these non-compliance that cause delays, because custom, by the time they discover things that shouldn't be, then questions will be asked. We should learn to be compliant. We should learn to say things the way they are. We should change. Things have changed a lot over the years. The whole world is changing, so we should change. We hear people talking about, their goods coming and in some countries, and you don't even see the container, and it will be delivered to your house like this. Custom have put a lot of things on ground to make sure it happens like that here also. For instance, the risk lanes are supposed to be 3, but custom introduced a 4th lane for compliant traders, and that is the fast track lane, what we call the blue corridor. And that shows that when goods are brought in, and they have embraced all the levels of compliance we talk about. Within a few hours from the ship side, those goods are loaded on the container and they are sent to the premises of the importer, and our post-clearance auditors will go there and do the examination. That is how it should be. Not all the time we are talking of the same thing because of non-compliance.
The Customs Area Controller in charge of Past Customs Command speaks on the clearance procedures at the port.
I will advise them to be compliant. Their declarations should be in conformity with the import guidelines. That is, all documentations for importation, right from the Form M, pro forma invoice, packing list, bill of lading, final invoice, and if there is any additional sister government agency regulatory certificate such as SON, NAFDAC, or NESRA, they should make sure that all these documents have the same name of supplier with addresses, name of consignee with address, description of goods should be the same in all these documents. The HS code for the consignment should be appropriate what as is in the tariff. Once all these things are the same, they don't have any issues, they will carry their consignments will be released on time. But once discrepancies are discovered, appropriate actions will be taken. So once all these things are in conformity, they will not have any problem whatsoever. But as long as they have different description of items on these documents, then definitely appropriate action will be taken.
You are watching the program Customs Report. The Customs Area Controller in charge of Semen Border has again intercepted goods worth millions of naira from smugglers along the border. The area controller said that the customs will always maintain good relationship with Nigeria across the border.
In the course of implementing the federal government policies for the protection of the economy, I remember vividly I did promise on the assumption of duty. We'll be conducting press conferences in every 2 months as conditions and circumstances may determine. It is for this reason we have invited you today to showcase the number of vehicles we have seized that have contravened the importation laws, the rice we have seized, along with other articles, to showcase to the press and by extension to the members of the public.
The controller said that in 2 months, a total of 23 exotic cars were seized along the nation's border. A total of 5,000 bags of rice, jerry cans of vegetable oil, 25 liters each, and 34 bags of sugar were also seized by the customs. The customs also seized 68 parcels of tramadol, 110 pieces of cannabis, 19 boxes of frozen seafood, 24 cartons of Maggi were also seized by the customs. The custom boss stated that the war against smuggling is reducing at the border.
There is no way 2 tractors of this nature are inside this building. I'm not aware of any country in West Africa that have started to manufacture vehicles. So in the first place, this is an ETLS examination bay. In the first place, custom procedure has been violated by even bringing in along with this corridor. In the joint border post, the joint border post is divided into 3 sections: cargo section, the passenger and the individual. Then you have the pedestrian section. Now, goods coming, this can come as cargo, but the formalities that are supposed to have been done by the agent or his representative is that of ETLS. So from nowhere, on examination or discovery, we found goods that are meant for import, meaning that they are trying to evade payment of custom duty. Evading of custom duty is liable to forfeiture to the government. So it is for this reason that this truck has been retained by us. The agent or representative, as an afterthought and ignorantly too, wrote paper to the zonal office asking for temporary importation. The temporary importation does not pass through ETLS. It passes through normal importers. So these are some of these things when they try to cheat. That truck was intercepted along Owode Road. And they are carrying, the trucks is carrying 180 sacks of scrap metals. Scrap metal is under Schedule 6 of the tariff. It's under export prohibition. There is no industry along that line for the melting of such scrap metal. So it was on that premise that we intercepted that truck and we see that truck. Its export prohibition is prohibited and will not allow any illegality to happen anywhere.
The driver of the truck, what happened to the driver?
You know, when you are committing illegal act, the moment you see people who are against such act, either you take a cover, like say you are going to peace, or you find ways, and jump out of the truck, because they will not spare you. It is 2 years imprisonment. The federal government is very much serious about smuggling of rice. It is for that reason the government has allowed the importation of fertilizer free, no payment of duty, with the view to boost agricultural production. You are also aware there are so many states that have engaged and individuals in rice production with the view to stimulate local production of rice. Reason, these are the following benefits: employment, reservation of foreign exchange, and also for food security. No nation can develop when there is hunger. People can think, advise, and propose ideas when they are fed properly. So it is along this line that we are so much committed against the smuggling of foreign rice. Part of the danger of smuggling of foreign rice, we deplete our foreign exchange. And nobody knows the duration when this rice was produced. It might be expired rice and people will continue to consume. So we are, in the course of time, we have been able to seize 5,383 kg of 50 rice, equivalent to 8 trailers of rice. 8 trailers of rice with a duty paid value of 97 million. This, what we have been able to do, along with other commodities that we have arrested and seized. Some of the drugs and cannabis, we made decision, we have handed them over to the appropriate authority for further investigation and prosecution. It is on record. The cannabis we arrested, we handed over to NDLE, and they have sent, after the court pronouncement, the person had been jailed for a period of 2 years. The records are there. In the course of doing our work, we were also able to intercept armed robbers that did armed robbery. And we were able to recover 8.5 million naira, which we handed over to the police. The records are there. Some of them, like we showed, in smaller vehicle like this. In some cases, they carry them on machine. Some they carry them in passenger vehicles. You see about 3 passengers inside the vehicle, or you see 20 bags or 30 bags of rice. So we begin to wonder, that is a commercial quantity. And rice has been banned from importing through the land border in Nigeria, only through the ports. Even in the port, for quite some time, no Form M has ever been given to any importer of rice for a very long time. So when you see rice in and around, they might have been smuggled somewhere along the line. That's why by Section 147 of the Customs and Excise Law, the customs officer has the right to enter any place in Nigeria, to go, so long as there is reasonable suspicion that there are goods that duty meant to be paid, or they are illegal goods, that such goods should be evacuated and brought to Government White House.
The customs has again intercepted hard drugs concealed with cartons loaded with clothes at the airport. The customs area controller at the airport says that the seizure was made in conjunction with NDLEA. She speaks more on a number of issues.
Much cooperation with the NDLEA, because this should be credited to them actually. They had the intelligence and everything, and this was being monitored. And on examination, it was found out that this was actually carrying these packages.
The customs area controller has warned travelers against importing hard drugs into Nigeria. The custom boss gave the warning in Lagos when she displayed hard drugs worth millions of naira. She urged Nigerians bringing hard drugs into the country to desist, or the law will catch up with them. She also displayed some drugs as seized by the customs right inside Pablo.
It isn't the first time. The other time we had it in micro musical equipment, and it was actually the NDLEA as well that had information. They cooperated with us, and then the suspects were arrested, and we also arrested the drugs. The NDLEA had intelligence, and in this aspect of drugs at the airport here, the NDLEA has been very, very fantastic. They've been very good. In fact, they've been up to their games. They've been working very, very hard to ensure that drugs that come into the country like this are apprehended, and the suspects. Like right now, the NDLEA has a suspect as well. Yeah.
How many of them, madam? We have 3 now.
3 of them, yes.
So somebody may just want to ask, where were this thing going to?
These ones are coming into the country. They just brought them into the country. They're coming in from Pakistan. Yes. They know that these are hard drugs, and they're not things that are to be brought into the country. They're very harmful to the humans. And our young ones, you know, the youths, they fall victims of this. What we would advise them, there are other means of making money. There are other means of making a livelihood rather than bringing in hard drugs into the country or exporting hard drugs out. For instance, you can see whatever is used in concealing these things is just a singlet that is worthless. How much money are you going to make? The essence is not actually the singlet that is being brought into the country. It's the hard drugs that is being brought into the country. This was last week, and like I said, the NDLEA did a very fantastic job on Friday.
So what message are you sending to your officers right now?
Our officers have to be vigilant and work in close cooperation with the NDLEA. The CGC has done so well training our officers, and it's out of the training and retraining of the officers, my human capacity building that the CGC has been doing in the Nigerian Customs Service, and officers are now tuned to working very hard and being very vigilant.
She said the 3 arrested suspects are with NDLEA officials. She later handed over the seized drugs to NDLEA officials at the airport.
They are the agency responsible for this. So they are going to take it down and carry on with their investigation. So I'm handing this over to the officer from the NDLA.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, drug war is a collective responsibility. We work in synergy here. Yes, we work all together in collaboration with each other. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate all
Thank you
your
very much.
efforts,
Thank you very much.
support, the cooperation you've been giving to the Nigerian Customs Service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank you.
the NDLA.
Thank you very much.
According to her, the customs will continue to seize any goods not approved by government from coming into Nigeria. She urged stakeholders in the maritime industry to continue to fight against importation of hard drugs into the country. Just before round up this week edition of the program Customs Report, we brought you a report where goods worth billions of naira was intercepted by Nigerian Customs Service at the border. For me, Egeseme Etinye, thanks for watching.